Hello and welcome to another Awesome Archie non-profit free mini training session. Obviously, we spend all of our time trying to advocate for the autistic community, trying to educate schools and families about the amazing autistic brain, and we try to basically offer free practical support. So if you think this is going to be useful to you, please make sure that you subscribe and click the little bell so you know that whenever we've got a new video coming up, you're going to be notified. We try to do one a week, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on what we're having going on at home. But in today's session, we're going to talk about how to fidget without fidgets. Now, this has actually been designed for school staff members, but it's relevant for everyone. If you have a neurodivergent family member at home, then hopefully this video will be helpful to you too. So let's get started. Now, it's important to say that we as an organisation advise all schools to be fidget friendly. I know that sadly, many schools, we hear from the parents who contact us, will tell their children off for fidgeting. So I'm really hoping that if you are a school that you've heard this, then this video is shared within your staff. We're not in any way meaning to criticise anybody. We're all on a learning journey. But it's important you know that stimming is an important and natural need, and fidgeting is a way of stimming. So, of course, we would always advise every class to have a little box of fidget toys. You know those children who are going to need it. But if you don't have those available for any reason, maybe you've forgotten them if you're on a school trip or you're in an assembly and you can't leave midway through, then we've got some practical hints and tips for things you can do instead. So first of all, you can have hands-on fidgets where you don't need any toys. It's also important for me to say that as an organisation, we don't really like to call them fidget toys. We like to call them fidget aids because they're not toys to play with to have fun, although you can play with them and have fun. Actually, they're something that you need as part of your day-to-day. For example, I'm an ADHD myself, and I will always have a hairband or some kind of elastic thing on my hands. It's just how I concentrate. I can't sit still and concentrate. I have to be moving to be able to concentrate. So it doesn't have to be an actual fidget toy or a fidget aid. It can just be something that helps you. For example, you can twist your sleeves or rub the edge of your jumper. You can click the end of a pen. Obviously, if you're in the middle of an intense meeting or a quiet assembly, maybe don't do that one. But you could always try to carefully take the pen apart and put it back together. You could rub a textured pencil grip or an eraser. You could squeeze your hands into a fist and then release the pressure. But obviously, if you could do this under your desk, it'll disturb less people, which is even more helpful. And you can press your fingers together in a pattern. This is what I do during very serious meetings. No one sees, I'm doing it right now under my desk, and nobody will even know. But it's helping me to continue to concentrate. With your feet and your legs. So if you're in a classroom, you can bounce your knee or tap your foot gently. Some people have those elastic gym stretchy things from one leg to the other on a chair leg. Now that's the ideal, but if you don't have that, you can bounce your knee or tap your foot gently. Or you could roll your foot over a small object inside your shoe, like a smooth pebble or a bottle cap. You could push your feet against the floor or chair legs for a little bit more deep pressure. And you could cross your ankles and switch your leg positions quite frequently. That can also give you a nice bit of support. For sensory and mental fidgeting, inside your head, you can count things silently. For example, you can take a look at the tiles on your ceiling, have a little look, see how many pencils you've got in your pot without moving them, just see if you can count using your mental ability, using your eyes. You could, with your finger, trace letters on your leg, try to spell out your name on your leg, or try to spell out a difficult word from your spelling list. Or you could do that on the palm of your hand. You could spell your name backwards in your head or spell a really difficult country name backwards if you're feeling like challenging yourself. And of course, you can always use your breathing patterns, depending on what your favourite breathing patterns are. And we've already touched upon it. Clothing accessories as fidgets. For me, it's the trusty old hair bubble. But running your finger along the zipper or pulling a hoodie string, clipping and unclipping a paper clip, or one of those carabiners. I was trying to find the word. We often have a carabiner in our backpack because they're useful for carrying things. You could twist a bracelet, a scrunchie, or a hair tie, and you could keep a textured object inside of your pocket, like a bit of nice velvet fabric or felt, depending on what your preference is. You can always keep a bit of that in your pocket. When you're fidgeting during lessons, it's really difficult because we always talk to staff members and we always say, listen, I know that it can be distracting, but a child needs to fidget, let them fidget. But there are ways that we can encourage fidgeting that also don't disturb those children in the class who get distracted by fidgeting, because we're not just talking about making sure our neurodivergent students are included. We're trying to make sure that the whole class is included, everyone's needs. So it's important to say, if you know that you have a child that potentially is ADHD, or you know they have a diagnosis, or they're autistic, or they're, there's no diagnosis, but you know they're a fidgeter for whatever reason, when you do your seating plan, just try to keep that child as far away from the child who is sensitive, or because again, they may be autistic and may be sensitive to movement. And so you've got to try and accommodate for everybody. So getting to know your pupils is really important, and planning your seating plan accordingly is the easiest way, if you're teaching staff, to kind of mitigate any of those issues. It's also important to say that you need to have very open and frank conversations with parents. There are going to be the odd parents that say, well, my Harry isn't allowed to bring in a teddy bear. Why is Joshua? Actually, it's not their business for you to talk about a child specifically. So you're allowed to say, I am sorry, I'm not allowed to talk about specific children, but I am allowed to say that whatever your child needs as an individual, as a teaching staff, I will always try to accommodate. So if a child needs a teddy, they will always have a teddy. And fair isn't everybody getting the same. It's everybody getting what they need. They might not like you for it, but that pupil will definitely respect you for it. And for me, that's true inclusion. For those of you who are going to be fidgeting during lessons, you need to do what you need to do. But if you can, try to fidget a little bit quietly and respectfully so that your friends in your class can concentrate too. And if you can't do that, talk to a teacher or TA about asking to have some time outside of the class, because you may need to regulate, and that might mean being a bit noisy or banging some things together. So you can always ask to do that. Test what works for you personally, and it's really okay if one idea doesn't help or another one does, and don't be surprised if this can change from day to day. You can always explain to your teachers, your TAs, your class volunteers, if you feel safe to do that, that fidgeting helps you to focus. It's an important part of your learning. It's a support for you. It's not meant to be a disruption. It's supposed to be a learning aid for you. We'd love it if you could drop a little comment down below. We'd love it if you could subscribe. We don't charge for any of the work we do. We rely solely on you guys sharing our videos and making comments online. This is how we get our educating and advocacy message out. So it would be great if you could follow us, subscribe, and drop us a comment. You could always visit our website. We produce lots of free resources. All you need to do is download them and print them. That's a printing cost for you. Everything else is completely free. Just check us out on www.awesomearchie.co.uk, or this is going to sound big-headed, but if you drop Awesome Archie Nonprofit into Google, you'll find us. We're across most of the socials. We've got lots of images, lots of blog posts, lots of resources, lots of videos. You can find us there if you need us. And we'd love it if you join us on our autistic community, because you don't have to be autistic to be there, but it's great to know that lots of our community are autistic, or they love or support an autistic person. Thank you so much for your time, and we're looking forward to speaking to you soon.